you were quite happy to just say, okay, you know what, let's go up there, meet them. And then that was when I literally signed the dotted line, and I thought, yeah, I can trust you.
Hi everyone, I have the pleasure to introduce you to one of my long-term clients, Patience Chinwada.
Hi, Patience. Thank you. Hi Stuart.
Welcome to the London office.
Thank you for having me.
What we try to do is, we're trying to get a lot of personal feedback from our clients. We try to speak to them as much as possible. There's a lot of repeat consultation that happens with us and our clients. So the relationship is a big thing to us. So I figured the natural progression would be to get one of our clients in to talk to us for our latest magazine.
Yeah.
So are you happy to go through a few questions about your property journey with us?
I sure am.
Okay, so Patience, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for a living, etc., etc.
So I'm used to being on the other side of the camera. I'm a journalist, so I'm used to asking the questions.
Right. Tell me where I'm going wrong at this stage.
I won't just yet. No, I'm joking. No, so seriously, so I'm a journalist and have done that pretty much fresh out of university, and it's all I knew. But my first property, I actually bought that when I was about 24, 25.
Okay.
And that was because I had a mother who always said, you know, don't rent, buy somewhere, have something of your own. Because I was quite happy to just go out and rent with my best friends and have parties, and that was the life that I thought.
Good advice.
Natural progression from uni to renting, and then so she kind of just installed that in me, and I'd literally spent like a year and a half saving up for a deposit and solicitor's fee. So I stayed at home, and then once I got that, I pretty much.
So the sacrifices were made early on.
Oh, absolutely.
To buy that first property.
Yes, it was. But you know what? I kind of bought it, and in London at a time when the crash had just happened, so I got it really good price. It was just a 1-bed flat, and I was living in it. Beautiful Edwardian, so tall ceilings. It was home. It was light. It's airy. But I didn't do anything more.
Okay.
So it was just home. I didn't see property as an investment. I just saw it as somewhere that you bought, you lived, you paid the mortgage.
Yeah.
So then it's, maybe, 15, 16 years later, I'm sitting on this London property. And then I thought, I think I actually want to do something more.
Right.
I'd like to buy somewhere. Because then I started hearing about this buy-to-let. And I'm thinking, what does a buy-to-let mean? So I kind of did a bit of homework, just read magazines, looked at, a couple of websites. There wasn't much information. And then that led me to buy the house. So I bought a house, just a 2-bed terrace in Birmingham.
Okay.
And the reason Birmingham was because London, you just could not afford to buy
the prices, but in that time, between the time you bought that first property in London and then the time that you'd owned it and done quite well out of it, but also decided you wanted to go in again.
Yeah.
The London market had completely changed by
completely
that time.
Changed at that
Tell me about it.
Completely changed. So I couldn't afford to buy in London. Right. So that's why I was like, okay, I'll look for the next best place. Birmingham, second city.
Absolutely.
It's always going to have demand. So I did my homework, and then I bought the house, and then after that I bought another house.
Oh.
So that is basically what happened.
That's how it started.
That's how it happened.
A domino effect after that.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Superb. Well, what we want to always get a handle on when we first speak to a client is why property? What is it? I mean, you've answered the question there in so much as your mother had instilled with you, own something for yourself.
Yeah.
But why then did you decide, actually now's the time I want to start looking into doing something more than just owning a property and
Do you know what it is? It's because I'm one of those investors who's a bit risk averse.
Okay.
So in terms of looking at stock markets, somebody said to me, go with Bitcoin, and I said, if I can't touch it, I can't see it, I can't walk to the bank.
A while ago,
if I had, I wish I had, but it's too late.
It's a
as I said, that was my fault because risk averse. So property, you can see it, you can touch it. And it's always going to be there.
That's what we like about it.
And for me that was the big deal, and it remains like that even up to now.
Fantastic.
Whereas you can kind of go, okay, you know what, I don't know much about the stock market.
Right.
I can try and teach myself about the stock market, but I won't know it. If I've got my money in gold, I still can't touch the gold. But at least with a house or a flat, you know it's there.
You know it's there.
You know
it's bricks and mortar. It's providing somebody a place to live as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you ever needed to, you can actually spend some time there yourself. And that's one of the main factors that I think attracted me to property as well. It's the sort of tangibility of it, right? So great. I mean, we understand really well now what drew you to property.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind me asking, what does your portfolio consist of at the moment?
So I have what the Americans will call a condo, because the one bed flat that I bought, I turned that into a 3-bed.
Oh, right.
So I converted that into a 3-bed.
So you've done the conversion, you've upsized a property itself. So the 1-bed flat you turned into a 3-bed.
3-bed, yes. And that was going into the loft, so master en suite. That's why we call it a condo now. And then I've got 2 houses, and then I've got 2 flats with you.
We'll get onto that in a minute. So there's a condo in London, there are 2 houses in Birmingham, and then there are 2 flats with us.
Or apartments, as we call them now these days.
That's a fantastic mix as well.
Yes.
And it also seems that you're quite interested in doing things slightly differently with regards to, I have a lot of clients who do, they have one train of thought, and they have one strategy that they take. But from what I can see from you, you've got London, you've got Midlands, you've got houses, you've got flats, you've got buy and upsize. You've got some things I would imagine, well, especially the things with us, a long-term rental contract. So that's really nice that it's quite diverse. Why is that important to you, and why have you chose to go that way?
So for me, as I said, this goes back to risk and trying to manage and mitigate risk. So first of all, I wanted to be able to have as much of an open market when it comes to the rental. So in terms of having like a 3-bed, I thought, it's a flat, it's in London, but it also could be a home. It's actually being rented out now by a family, which is how I always saw it. 2 bedrooms and master en suite for the parents. Lovely family that are living there. 2-bed terrace, that could either be a couple, and have an office, especially now with the pandemic, as we are, people working from home, or it can just be a family home. And then for the apartments, that's people starting out on their property journey.
So you are sort of hitting every point of every milestone of life. So you've got the young sharers, couples into families. That's a very interesting way to put it.
And because I know that this is the way I've seen my I've been very lucky. Even during the pandemic, I've always had rented tenants, always. And in fact, I had a rental agreement ended with one couple in May, and I've got a family moving in August.
That's fantastic.
And that was just the time difference was just because I wanted to touch it up, just a bit of paint and make it nice for the new people.
And they'll stay a lot longer, they'll treat it like home.
Exactly. So I think that, in terms of just thinking about what you're buying, not just, for instance, I think when I started out on the journey, I just heard numbers and people saying, I want to have 10 properties, I want to have 20 properties, and then they would just buy anywhere.
I see. So without any real strategic thought about it at all.
And it wasn't just about, for me, it hasn't turned, for a while it was, I had the number 10 in my head. I want to have 10 properties.
I'm going to get into that. I'm going to ask you exactly what your goal is in a minute. So let's not jump too far into that one. Okay. It's actually the next question, funnily enough. One of the other questions I was going to ask, then, and we'll go back to the goals in a second, is how have you fit this? Because that's quite a diverse portfolio. That sounds like there is a lot of activity there. How have you fit that around your career?
So funnily enough, you always find time for something that's important for you. And I went into it when I decided that I wasn't just going to have somewhere just it's going to be for me to live. I looked at it as a business. So fitting it around my job now, I work as hard as you guys do, 11-hour days. Maybe I think you do more than me, but it's 12-hour days. So it actually can be very stressful. When you're going through the mortgage process, the application process.
It's never easy. I don't think
it never gets easier.
I don't think anybody's really prepared for the amount of documents you need to provide, the amount of information that they're going to ask you. Every time we do it, we go, really? Do you need that again? You need
Yes.
that bank statement
Yes.
again?
Yes.
It's very
And
interesting.
they
isn't it?
ask the same question, and the underwriters want to know a question about money that was taken out of an ATM machine 2 years ago, and you're like,
God.
I don't remember, you know. But for me, because, you know, working with you, I, as an expat, get asked even more questions than, say, if I'm buying here. So they add more questions. I think it's because, you know, they have to be careful. You're not living here. They want to get as much detail about you as possible. So I have to provide, you know, local bank accounts, and every penny they have to look at. And then when the money is transferred to my UK account, they want to see, why did you put this on this date? Why is that amount? And
they go into a lot of detail.
Yes.
Very forensic. The one thing you've just thrown up there for me is, again, you know, this is a diverse portfolio across the UK.
Yes.
You are not based in the UK.
I know.
How does that work for you?
So,
we have a lot of investors, just to give you a bit of context for the question. We have a lot of investors who are, the first question is, or the first point is, I want something that's close to me. I want to buy something that's close to where I live because I want to manage it. I want to be involved. I don't want it to be too far away.
Yep.
And what I don't think these individuals understand is that a lot of our investors can be from wherever they are in the world. You know, we have a broad range of nationalities who buy with us, and people all over the world. We cater to expats everywhere, and it'd be interesting to see from your first-hand experience how that works.
So first of all, and this is me, I'm going to blow your trumpet, Thirlmere Deacon. You know, you guys have just been brilliant in seamless service. I think you provide a seamless service for people just like me, who are, as I said, you know, we're going to be asked more and more questions. We have to jump through more hoops, which I understand. However, for me, it doesn't matter where you're living. If you have a company like yours that actually takes away some of that stress. So you will basically be able to tell a person, you know, you're going to need these documents. We're going to come to you, and step by step.
So sort of preempting the requirements.
Yes, of what you need. Yeah, and I have another broker that I worked with before, you know, you guys, and he would also be saying to me, "I'm really sorry, Patience, but you know, they're going to need all these other documents." I'm like, again, like, why on earth do they need it again? So that is number one. But I think that in terms of the buying as an investment, you don't have to live near it, because number one, it's never going to be your home. So you don't need to live near it. Number two, it's what you do after you've got it and managing the property. That for me is what I found to be the key aspect. Having the relationship with the managing agent, having somebody do it full time for you, so that you're not the person. As I experienced, I mean, I did actually have a point where there was a year, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where I decided I'd manage one of the Birmingham houses.
So you've
myself.
done that, managed it yourself.
It was a nightmare.
It's a full-time job, isn't it?
That's what I would call it. It was a nightmare.
It's a full-time job.
You know, the time difference. Then you have tenants. I mean, this one, I'll give you an example. I was actually home visiting. I was visiting one of my friends, and I hadn't seen him. He's a university friend. I hadn't seen him maybe in 10 years. And we organised, you know, let's go out for dinner. I'm only in London for a few days, and literally half an hour before he was due to pick me up, I get a text from a frantic tenant. The lights have gone out in the house. And I'm like, really? Like, I'm in London, you're in Birmingham. Why are you bothering me? You know, obviously it's my problem. So I had to like literally stop getting ready to try and find an electrician.
Curtailing your lifestyle.
Yes. So I'm finding an electrician in Birmingham, going on, you know, Google electricians, you know, near Halesowen, which is where one of the houses is, and then having to find that electrician, call them up. All the while now, my friend's downstairs, and you know, at the door, and I'm literally
it's a stressful scenario.
Give me 2 seconds. I'm just trying to get an electrician, and I haven't seen this person in over 10 years, and that's how I meet them. So you know, and then through dinner, we're sorting out the electrician, and then paying them at dessert. You know, and the job was done. So, and I realised then that no, this is not really good.
It's a full-time job, which actually over and above a full-time job, because it's 24 hours a day, isn't it? You know, we often say to clients that, you know, you don't really want to be at the end of a call when the pipes freeze over or the boiler breaks at 2 o'clock in the morning. You don't need
that aggravation or stress, or especially when there's nothing you can do about it because you're too far away. And worse, you know, if that happened when I'm in Qatar, you know, and it's 2 hours ahead or 3 hours ahead, that could easily, because that was at 7 p.m, so that could have been 10 p.m. Qatar time, and then I'm waking up in the morning for a shift starting at 7. So, you know, that could have been,
it's a real lesson here in finding a professional management company and putting your trust in them. Let them do it. Let them be the professionals. And I often say it's the difference between being an investor and a landlord.
Yes.
You know, I'd rather be an investor than a landlord personally.
Yes. And do you know what? I think it's also about the relationships that you build with the management agents, because you trust them. Like you say, you have to be able to trust them. And they will show you that they are good at doing what they need to do. So, you know, I mean, I'll give you another example. I've got, you know, tenants that are moving in on the 2nd of August in the London place. And, you know, the family said, oh, you know, we're a family of 4. The fridge is a bit small. Can we get a bigger fridge? And then the agent says, oh, would you like, you know, do you want to look for a fridge? I said, no, you look for the fridge. When you find it, just tell me and then tell me how much it is. And it's not that I'm being flippant because I've got money to throw away, but I'm on holiday. I don't have time to start trawling through, going to Argos or wherever, IKEA to get a fridge. And I just said, no, you find it. When you found it, tell me how much it is and give me a couple that I can pick from. As long as it's a fridge and it works for the family, then that's basically what we've done. The
tenants are happy. You're happy, the management company are happy because, you know, they're paying for, you know, they're being paid for this service.
Absolutely.
And that's you know, you're paying to be hands off. I like that a lot. Can I ask you another question? A little bit of a curveball here. What's the biggest surprise that you've had owning your properties over this time about growing your portfolio? Okay,
so I think I touched on it a while ago, and that was first when I started on the journey, I had a number. I want 10. And I really wasn't thinking about what that 10 would look like. So for me, it was just about being able to say I got 10 properties. But now I'm like, no, it's more about the quality and how it suits my lifestyle, rather than just going, because I could have gone. I remember one of my cousins, they do property as well, and they were, oh no, we buy one every year, because they've got a number in mind, you know, we want to reach that target. And I'm just like, no, actually, I want a quality. I want somewhere that's good, that I'm going to be able to look at in a couple of years' time and still like the property, that is actually working well for me. And then...
So you've turned down opportunities that haven't worked right?
Yes, I have, because I thought, you know what, it looks like it's a good deal, but on the face of it, in a couple of years' time, will there be capital growth on this property? Probably not. But it was cheap. Do I just want to buy something because it's cheap?
For something's sake.
You know, something's sake. So I would rather take my time, and also, you know, have what I would say. I'm looking more for I've now turned around and I said, okay, actually, I want capital growth above of just a number, so that I can reach a number. You know, and that's not to take anything away from people who, you know, go ahead and then they
it's about setting certain levels for yourself and certain goals to achieve. I totally agree with that. That's fine. What would you say then is the biggest hurdle that you've encountered in growing the portfolio?
Oh gosh, I would say for most landlords and investors, I think it would have to be this pandemic. You know,
really? Okay, so tell us how that's affected you.
So for me, I mean, you know, I was fortunate because I had tenants in 4 of the properties that were just worked, or even if they were furloughed, they paid the rent on time. And then I had another couple where they were just like, can't pay, you know, we're furloughed, we can't pay, won't pay kind of thing, or we'll do a reduced amount. And having to work out that, you know what, it's better just to take the reduced rent than nothing at all. And then working with the tenants, making sure that they are happy, that they're okay, because obviously, especially being far away, I've been kind of cushioned. I've been away, not in England, so I don't understand. We all kind of understand what everybody's like locked in and going through, but you're never really in someone's shoes until you're there, right? So I think for me, the hurdle has definitely been just trying to manage, you know, people's anxieties. And that was even me with taking a back seat from the agents. You know, the agents would message me like, oh, this person isn't feeling that great. They're saying that, you know, they've been furloughed again, or this, you know, I had 3 tenants in one house and they were friends.
I mean, it does create a lot of anxiety, doesn't it?
Yes.
Especially if you're on, you know, read a lot of stories where people are on furlough and then they think they're coming back, and then no, furlough's been extended again.
And that's what happened. So that kind of, I felt it, and I said to the agent, look, if they can't pay the rent this month, then just let them off the rent, because I would rather that they stayed, that they were happy, and they've been good tenants. They paid on time every time. For 2 years they've been in the house, and I said, you know what, it's not their fault. So I could actually see that, and then we just came to an arrangement where they would do the back payments, and they've moved on, but they're still paying the back rent. And that was because I kind of worked with them rather than just
I totally agree. I think that's because you could have been well within your rights to be aggrieved by that, but you decided actually the best thing to do is work with the tenants, create a plan going forward. But also you're in a quite a fortunate enough position to be able to do that. So you've built up a bit of a safe pot.
I was able to pay.
You're able to cover yourself. You've built up a bit of a security contingency, which is testament to your own strategy and plan.
And to be honest, I mean, I've heard horror stories, from other investors and landlords who are saying, I just, I'm going to lose the house. The rent couldn't be paid. So I appreciate that I was in a position where I could. But I've always done that, going back to Mother Dearest, saying always have a rainy day contingency, the emergency pot that you don't touch until you need it. And I think in property, you definitely need that, because you can have a situation where a boiler breaks down. At one point I had a bathroom leak in one apartment, then I had, there was another issue that was going on. I was like, really? All at the same time?
At once,
and it always seems like that. Everything is ticking along nicely, and then suddenly, because I've always had that rainy day pot, that emergency pot that I've never touched, and I say, okay, if I need to do something, then I will, dip into it, and dip into it I have.
Good for you. It brings me along quite nicely to one of the apartments that you bought through us, actually, is an apartment called Churchside in Wolverhampton. I hope I'm only saying that.
No.
And I'm actually also in Churchside, by the way. I'm at apartment 107.
What am I? I think I'm at
You're
424.
424,
I think so, yes. I'm on the 4th floor. I like a nice view,
I was going to mention about Wolverhampton, why I think that's quite special, quite poignant go over what you just said, is because the management agreement on it is a 10-year management agreement. Okay, so from completion, which is next month, actually over it's going to be 6 weeks, we're going to be completing there. The management agreement kicks into place, and we've got a 10-year contract in place. The guys who are doing that 10-year contract, we already have probably 400 apartments, 500 apartments with them under management. And throughout this entire pandemic, you'll be pleased to know that not one rental payment has been missed.
Oh, that's amazing.
Absolutely, every landlord has been paid, every investor has been paid on time every month without a hiccup at all. So look forward to that going forward.
Yes, I like that. I like that idea.
Good. What I was going to ask as well is the biggest lessons you've learned. Okay, so we've gone over hurdles, we've gone over surprises. What are the lessons that you've heard that you could impart to some young investors starting their journey now? What sort of lessons do you think you could impart to someone in that?
So I think number one would be just go for it.
Oh, fantastic.
Don't, talk about it for maybe a couple of weeks, but months, but just do it. Because I find that, the more you talk, the more you procrastinate. And then people always were, but the property cycle, I've got to wait for the right time. And I say, I can say it properly, that the right time is now. It's always now.
I totally agree with that.
And don't, and also I think is getting the property at the right price. So therefore you're not going to be wondering, could I have got less? If the market was at this stage or that stage. And I think that those are the kind of lessons I would impart. And enjoy it. Enjoy the journey. I think that in life we always look at, oh my god, what are the downsides? We look too much at the downsides. But I think if you buy the first one you know, you've got your name on that, and then it will help you to get the next one if you're smart, you know.
Yeah.
And whatever you do, don't try and manage it yourself, because the rules and regulations change, they're updated.
Yeah.
Because even though I have management that look after my properties, I've got 3 different agents for the properties. I trust them, but I also do a lot of reading myself.
Absolutely.
You know, and I would say don't just leave everything to the agent, so that you can ask them, you know, do we have the latest electric certificate? Are we in regulation, or are we out? Because as the landlord, you are the person.
It falls on your head,
is going to come to you.
As much as the management company,
yes, exactly.
It's your name on the lease.
So have that great relationship. You know, build a really good relationship with the agents, the people you work with, you know, the investing companies like you guys. And just so that when they have properties that are coming to market, or, you know, if it's off plan, if it's a new house that's coming to market, they think about you, and they'll contact you first, so before creating the relationships. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Fantastic. A couple more things that I want to get out of you. It's so nice to have clients actually face to face. It's so nice to have people in the office. And thank you very much for coming. One major question that I always have for especially my repeat clients and referral clients is, what made you choose to work with Thirlmere Deacon, and why?
Okay, so I think that, you know, I've had cold calls, I've had emails, you know, you get people just sending you mail outs, and half of them, they don't follow through. They have a number, you know, and then you say, okay, I will contact you. I'm overseas, so I'm not trying to ring a UK number unless I want to run up a phone bill, or, you know, or I will just message and then say, yeah, okay, talk to me at this time. And I think with you guys, you know, Thirlmere Deacon, you did what you said you would do. You said you'd call me, and that was quite nice. You called me, but you didn't try to pressure me into working with you. I think, you know, when I first, because that I hadn't done off plan, I was actually frightened and scared. Remember I told you that I'm a risk averse person. Even though I buy, I don't just jump in. I have to do my numbers. Maybe that's the journalism in me, and I think I told you that as well. I have to read and read and read again, and then, you know, see where the pitfalls might be. And I think that, you know, you allayed the fears. I think that was one of the biggest things for me. Because, you know, I had so many questions, and I would email, or you'd call me, and we'd go over the same thing again. And, you know, you'd say, but have patience, I'm sure I told you this, but this is what's going on. So I like that. You know, you allayed my fears about off plan, because, you know, I just heard so many horror stories of buildings not, you know, coming up to scratch. And I think at one point you even gave me the developers' details and said, check them out for yourself. Yeah. So I could do my own background research. So I'm not just buying off plan because you say it's good. You were able to actually sell it to me. And then I think that, you know, there was a time, I think, when I came to London, and I was like, Stuart, I'm still not really happy, and I want to meet them. And you said, okay. So we drove all the way up to Birmingham.
We did.
From London.
I took patience in the car. We decided, you know, we'll face the situation. We'll go up there. And,
all the way up to Birmingham. And I was like, you know what, this guy, I can work with him, because
you can't do that for your clients. You can do that.
Yeah, and I don't think many would have done. But, you know, but you were quite happy to just say, okay, you know what, let's go up there, meet them. And then that was when I literally signed the dotted line, and I thought, yeah, I can trust you. I think that, you know, you basically know what you're doing. You can prove that you know what you're doing, and I think you go above and beyond for your clients.
Thank you very much.
And I think that not many companies would do that. They would just be a face on the other, you know, end of the phone. You never really see them. It's a voice rather at the under, you know, and they're not going to do, you know, what you guys do, which is to actually go and meet the person, meet the client, and no one's driving you up to Birmingham
for an afternoon. That's a lovely sort of roundup. I really appreciate that. The feedback there is great to know. And we're going to continue to do that. I think for us, from our point of view, the relationship is the main thing with our clients, because, you know, we are here for the long term. You know, if we were here just for a quick buck or whatever it could be, we wouldn't go that extra mile. But we're there to make sure that you're all right, because I know that if we treat you well enough and we do everything we can and go over and above, then this isn't the last property you're going to buy, and therefore we want to be involved with as many as possible from a service point of view. But that, I think, it's actually worked quite well, because you've come back and you've bought again with us. The second one is about to complete now. So the next question I have for you, the final question, is what's next for you, Patience?
Well, do you know what, Stuart? I've literally, been looking at life and pandemic. Everybody's got these epiphanies, like, what do you see yourself doing in a couple of years' time? And I really am now looking for the next chapter. I love my job as a journalist, but I discovered my passion property, and I would like to be doing that, working in property and actually being able to be hands-on rather than dipping. If you see me at work now, I've got Rightmove on, Zoopla, I'm looking at properties, I'm reading all the property news and blogs and stuff.
You are taking it back.
And it doesn't feel like work.
Great.
That's the way I see it.
So more into property. You want to be more immersed.
Much more immersed. Yes, 100%, definitely. Yes.
So we've painted a good picture for the whole thing.
It doesn't feel like work. It's a passion, and I could talk about property. I mean, this interview could last maybe into tomorrow. We'll be here. We can still talk about it. And I bore people who are not interested. So for me, if I talk about it a lot, then everybody knows me as the property person.
You're the property person.
Yeah.
Well, you would be by far one of the most qualified consultants that I've ever come across as well. So you've got fantastic experience in the market. You've got a really varied experience as well, which is great. So look, it's an exciting time for everybody at the moment. Lots of things are happening. Things are coming back onto, come back to normal. Companies are expanding, etc., etc. So there's so much out there. Your portfolio is fantastic at the moment. I can imagine there's going to be more added to it. There's going to be more cornerstones put in. And with regards to moving into property and things like that, let's definitely have a chat about it.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Patience, what a wonderful hour or so talking to you. I wanted to present you with your own copies of the magazine, latest magazine, and the Buy to Let Guide.
Yes.
You will as well, obviously, get the next one next year, next quarter. But that's for you to take
this is
away.
Lovely. Thank you. I'll be reading this on the plane tomorrow.
But really,
I'll show it to my friends as well.
Oh, absolutely.
In Qatar.
A couple of business cards in there as well.
Absolutely. Oh, wonderful. No, absolutely. I can't wait. Yeah, this looks amazing. Thank you. Stamp duty holiday extended. That's what we like to hear.
That's what we like to hear. Lovely to have you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.